Hello, everybody. All right. So first off, as you guys have noticed, Rick's not here yet. He did mention to me he's gonna probably be a little late, and he just emailed me he'll be in about 10 to 15 minutes late. So we're just gonna we're gonna wait on him. Obviously, before we get started, we'll wait on everybody else as well. Let's see. So tonight, of course, when Rick gets here, we're gonna go over comics that went on sale. We're going to go over Thrilling Comics Volume 1, number 1 from of course, Standard Comics. We're just, again, just waiting for, we're just waiting for Rick to get here. So actually what I guess I can do at this point while we're waiting, I should go over Grand Comics database. And I can get the information from there. And we can read at least some of the, some of the background information, as it were. While we wait for Rick to get here. All right. So, and while we let's go ahead and share that so you guys can see that. Let me see. Anyway, as I'm reading the summary along, Rick said he's going to be here about 10 to 15 minutes late today. So while we're waiting for him, of course, I'll go over and I thank you guys for the like and the share. I'll go over some of the basic information here about this comic. So, Thrilling Comics on sale date approximately December 1st, 1939. The cover date was February 1940. Editing. So let's see. This is from Better Publications, Better Publications, Better Books, Standard, Nador, all the same company basically. So let's see. Issue note here on sale date from publication date found at the catalog at copyright entries part 2 blah blah blah. The cover here penciled and inked by Alex Kotzik, featuring Doctor Strange. So yes, long before Doctor Strange of Marvel fame, or Doctor Hugo Strange in DC, we have a Doctor Strange in the standard better Nador world as well. Let's see. Doctor and he has Hugo Strange as part of his name too. Professor Thomas Hugo Strange. Virginia Thompson. Index for notes here. Alter Ego 2012 features 3 different preliminary covers to this issue by Alexander Kotsek on page 40. The hero is known as Doctor Strange in his earliest stories. Anyways, just kind of, let's see. Of course, as always, guys, first off, if you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be nice. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Sure, Rick will do the same when he gets here. So as we're waiting for Rick, of course, and we're waiting for more people to show up, let me go over a little bit more some of the basic information here. So, The Amazing Adventures of Doctor Strange, Doc Strange, comic story, 37 pages. Script or written by Richard Hughes, credited as Dick Hughes, and then Alex Kostuk, credited as Alexander Koster, who did the pencil and inks for this. Step on it, lugs. Yeah, lugs. Superhero type book here. Doctor Strange, Professor Thomas Hugo Strange, Doctor Origin becomes Doc Strange by issue number 10. Virginia Thompson, Professor Thompson, the Faceless Phantom, Commissioner Baxter, the villain in this story. Togo, another villain who happens to die. Again, just going over basic information until Rick gets here. Okay. Anyways, again, feel free to comment and or ask questions if anything here grabs your attention. Let's see. So, and the chances are we probably will, because this is going to be the only book we're going to be focusing on tonight. We'll probably read most of it, if not all of it, which will be one of those rare occasions we actually do. Because there's only like 4 features in here, 37, one real long one that's just a little longer than we normally do at 16 pages, and a couple of shorter ones. So that's from what hey, Metal. Rick's even later than I expected. Yeah, he said he messaged me a little while ago that he was going to probably be about 10 to 15 minutes late. So what I decided to do until he gets here, we gotta go over here to GCD, Great Comics Database, and just go over some summary information on this particular comic here till he gets here, because this is gonna be the only book we're gonna be reading tonight. It's got like one super long story, which is his first feature, Doc Strange. One that'd be considered normal length or normal long, like 16 pages, and a couple of shorter pages. So, a couple of shorter stories. So that's what it all kind of boils down to. So, again, as I wait for him to come in and stuff, I'll be and thank you for the like and the share. I'll just go over some of the summary stuff here, kind of get everybody at least in the. Let's see, The McCoys, 5 pages, written and drawn by Ray McGill. It's a humor domestic story. Characters include Mr. McCoy, Mrs. McCoy, Mickey McCoy, and Jane McCoy. McGill signs at the foot of each of the 5 pages. So yeah, all right. And index or notes from the Doctor Strange story. Richard Hughes was previously credited with colors, but this was the result of a database glitch. The hero was known as Doctor Strange in his earliest stories. And then a message from the editor, and Don Tyler's Triumph, which is a 2-page text story. We don't normally. It's an adventure text story featuring Tom Styler, Don Tyler. Again, we don't do even though it's a 2-pager, we don't do text stories too much here. And then the 16 pages, second longest feature of the book after the Doctor Strange feature here. This one is Nikki, featuring a character named Nikki Norton. 16 pages here with Dick Hughes once again being credited with writing the story, and then Kay Blitz, signed as Kay. I don't know if that's a guy or I guess it's a girl doing the art. Spy adventure type story. Nikki Norton, a Secret Service agent. Inspector McGinnis, John Fulton, Sandra Fulton, and of course Cortez, the villain who dies in the story, apparently. Richard Hughes is previously credited with colors, but that was okay. And then we have a 3-pager at the end there. featuring, I guess, Lieutenant George W. Baylor of the Texas Rangers. This is a biography of Western Frontier. Lieutenant George W. Baylor, Texas Ranger, Chief Victorio, and Don Ramon Aranda. So those 4 features, though, got a 37 pager at the beginning, 16 pager in the middle, and then a couple of short ones, 5 and 3 pager, with a text story in there. As I said, we'll probably be reading, since this is the only book we'll be reading tonight. We'll probably just read the majority of it. Depending upon how much time we have and all that. As I said, just waiting for Rick. And again, as always, guys, if anything here, of course, grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. If anything grabs your attention, I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability, of course. And I hope everybody's been having a good week. Got Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is now 6 days away, of course. Be this Thursday, so I hope everybody's having. We of course I will not be broadcasting next Thursday or Friday. We will be back here on Sunday, of course, through Wednesday, and then we'll be back to base our full schedule the following week. And of course, on December 1st, very first day of December, I'll have RJ Carter back with me. We'll be starting our coverage of comics that went on sale in January of 1940. And so we'll be getting into DC and all that that first week. And then, of course, Tim will be joining me on the 8th when we go over Marvel comics that went on sale in January 1940. And then Metal, I believe, will be the week after that. So, and then, of course, I do have scheduled to Diane Tomolovich from Hero Shack Press will be joining me to do on January the 12th, a few weeks down the line. Still be, of course, focusing in on January 1940. So that's at least what we have to look forward to looking ahead. Still waiting on Rick, of course. We're already at the 13-minute mark. So, speak of the Shield, as it were.
Yeah.
I was just mentioning that you messaged me earlier that you were going to be late.
Yeah, sorry about that. We were in the middle of a game. I wanted to finish it. I knew it was only going to be like 5 or 10 minutes to finish it, which was going to put me a little later than I wanted, but,
But you're closer now to your church than you were before anyways. So
yeah.
So you can get home a little quicker as well.
Yeah.
So why I was waiting for you, I just kind of went over like what we kind of from Great Comics Database went over kind of a summary of what we'd be reading tonight, and then just waiting on you. Did you want to do the read-alongs or?
Oh yeah, look, I think I can. My screen appears to be big enough. And hello, Metal. Metal saying, "I'm even later than he expected."
Yeah. Well, again, we're just doing the one book tonight. But it's only got 4 features because it's got one like super long feature, 37 pages. One in the middle that's like 16 pages, and a couple of short stories. So we'll probably read most of those. But also, I got a little like what you might call epilogue or postscript for 1939, as this is the last week we're of course covering 1939. When we come back, and when I come back with RJ in 2 weeks here, we'll be starting January 1940. So, of course, after the show, we got to schedule you on, see if we can schedule you for your next appearance. So, and I was just kind of giving people a little heads up on the weeks ahead as well. RJ joined me in 2 weeks here on the 1st, and then Tim on the 8th, and then Metal on the 15th, and Diane Tomolovich on January the 12th. So,
Yeah.
with that, let me go ahead and go. Actually, while I'm calling up the actual comic page and stuff, you want to introduce yourself? Maybe share any links, promote anything while I'm doing this.
Okay. Well, as most people here will know, I am Rick Piper of Cross Comics. I do comics under the thing of Cross Comics, um, the which is my comic book company. It's Christian comics, and they're slowly getting better over time. Metal just helped me edit Canadian Shield 3's dialogue and all that, so he got to see the story and all that. So he say even he's they're better. Each one seems to be getting a little better. And as for a link that I will share my link from today's digitally color my short. I was digitally coloring a crab and a clam.
All right. As soon as you get that up, I'll of course highlight it for people to take a peek.
There we go.
All right. All right, so there it is. If you guys want to go check that out, there's the link. Rick, of course, with Canadian Shield, Snowdrift, and I think you're even working on another comic as well, right? The Flame.
Well, I will be. I've decided to do things a little differently. I was going to have my next campaign was going to be 3 comic books, but I'm deciding I'm going to just do the Canadian Shield number 3, and then my next campaign after that will be Snowdrift 2, and then the next one after that will be the Flame number 1.
Okay,
and then
so
I'll
you're gonna build up your 2 established characters a little bit more before adding a 3rd.
Yeah, and then I'll do Canadian Shield 4, Snowdrift 3, Flame 2, and then a new character campaign for a new character. Sort of just building up everything. That way, hopefully, in between campaigns, it's not as much time.
Yeah, building the universe, as it were, right?
Yeah.
Well, you could be, as the song goes, building a mystery.
Yeah. Do not despise small beginnings. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else you'd like to add before we get going here,
Yeah.
Rick?
Yeah. Well, not quite the way that I was wanting to do it, but it's still, it's still in a conjunction with the way that I was wanting to do it. So, I like this Doctor Strange, not the Doctor Strange we're used
not
to.
Be confused with Marvel's Doctor Strange or Doctor Hugo Strange of DC Comics. Even though when I was just reading the kind of the preview information earlier, apparently this guy's full name is Dr. Thomas Hugo Strange.
Maybe he was taken for, who knows? We'll find out when we read.
Well, no, I don't think so, because I think this is a completely different character than the one that we're talking about.
Well, but I just mean maybe they took some inspiration or something.
All right. So, anyways, this is Thrilling Comics. Thrilling
How
Comics.
thrilling are they?
I guess we're about to find out. Cover date February 1940. This is volume 1, issue 1. English, obviously. So with that. And sentence number 1, there's Doctor Strange on the right there. He doesn't look anything like the Doctor Strange we'd come to know in DC Comics, obviously.
Yeah, although, well, I was going to say he might have a touch of a look from the Marvels.
Yeah.
Or Marvel might have a touch of his. Since he came first.
Featuring a complete Doctor Strange action adventure. Cash prizes. Kind of an interesting so he would seem to be a dashing hero type here.
Yeah, he almost looks a little like Clark.
I mean, Clark Kent.
Yes.
And then I guess that's the female lead of the story. His potential love interest, Virginia Thompson, I believe. So, anyways, let's get into this. This first story is going to be like 37 pages from what I had read. So let's.
Oh wow, that is big for
this time period, yeah.
It's even big for now because most comics are only 20 some odd pages.
Well, yeah, and most comics today are feature style comics. In other words, they're not anthologies like these were back in these days. They're feature books today where they just simply focus on one character and pretty much the whole book is one story.
Yeah, and it's usually only about 22 pages.
Mm-hmm. But you remember these books back were anthologies and they were like...
Oh, yeah. I get that. But I'm just saying, even by today's standard, this feature story is big if it's 37 pages.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely way big according to their standards.
Yeah, so money, prizes, mail a coupon to get started at once.
This would be almost like a 2-issue arc nowadays.
All right, so The Amazing Adventures of Doctor Strange by Alexander Coster and Dick Hughes. Dick Hughes was the writer of this story. Alexander Coster was the artist on it.
Well, I guess we know where he got his last name from. Hughes. Hugo's. Oh, Joshua Hughes. Well, Hugo and Hughes is different, but it's close.
I was thinking Howard Hughes.
What, is Joshua Hughes here?
No. But Hughes, I think of Joshua Hughes.
Huh. Isn't he one of the guys that's on your channel usually? One of you guys?
Yeah.
So you want to do that first thug right there?
Step on your legs. Somebody's coming.
Suddenly, a beautiful girl burst upon the scene. Father, kidnappers, help, help. From the darkness steps the cruel figure of a gangster. Help! Anyways. Alright. Let's see. At that moment, a strong, handsome figure passes the gate. It is Doctor Strange. He hears the girl's cry and rushes to the rescue. They cry for help. I'd better see what's doing. He does not see the horrible ghostly assailant who strikes him down. Pow! Some of the parts of the copy here are kind of scratchy. The terrible blow cannot stop Doctor Strange. He gains his feet with
something strength, miraculous strength.
I get miraculous strength and charges the awful foe who awaits him. Yeah, this is probably not as good a scan as but then an amazing thing happens. A body of his strange faceless assailant slowly begins to vanish in thin air. Look at that effect. You see that effect, Rick?
Yeah.
Helpless, Strange sees the monster's form disappear, leaving an
Eerie.
eerie laugh
Echoing.
echoing into the mist. Ah. He turns as a fast car blazes past him. Those were gangsters. Watch, watch, watch me head him off. A running jump. He clears a wall and lands squarely on the kidnapper's car. That's a common scene in adventure comics, isn't it?
Yeah. So this guy obviously has some abilities.
Yeah, athletic abilities. Yeah,
More than athletic.
yeah. You want to do the gangster there?
Wow. Wow, what kind of guy is this? Give me that Tommy gun fast.
The machine gun splits a hail of death, riddled by bullets. Doc falls from the speeding car. The car roars off, leaving him sorely wounded. Struggling to his feet, Doc swears vengeance against the gangsters.
Right, he's just been riddled with bullets at point blank range, and he's only struggling to his feet, and being fallen off a car at pretty good speed back then.
Very well conditioned, doesn't he?
I think the guy should be dead.
You would think so, yeah. Well, yeah, but when he did take that fall, he didn't like fall on his head or anything. He fell on his backside, as it were.
Yeah, but still, being riddled with bullets from pretty much point blank range and falling from a car, probably going 30 or 40 miles per hour, I would guess. It's going to hurt. Well, just the fall, it's going to hurt and damage you probably a lot. And then being riddled with bullets after that, on top of that, you should be like dead. You shouldn't be walking at all.
Huh.
What's that? What was that, Anita?
I said being riddled with bullets. With one bullet will take any person down.
Yeah, well, it depends on where it is.
Yeah, it does also depend upon where the bullet hits.
It doesn't matter where it hits you. Even if it hits you in the shin, you are going to go into shock. Ask Rick. My brother Rick took a lawn dart in the leg, courtesy of our cousin Lee, and he couldn't stand up.
Yeah.
He was in shock from a lawn dart going into his leg. Thought he'd been shot.
Yeah. Anyways, on with the things.
Yeah, just trying to make sure that the viewer count here is accurate.
Yeah.
I'll get back to that in just a moment. All right. So, anyways, yeah, I take it that's your cousin in the background there, right, Rick?
Yeah.
She knows we're reading comics here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Let's see. I'll make those killers pay for this. Okay. Remembering the girl's cries, he makes his way back to the house. Wonder if I can be of any help to the girl. Put up your hand. Oh, shoot. Who are you? He just got riddled with bullets. He got to get riddled again.
Yeah, I don't think that gun would scare him after what he's been through.
Yeah. Why, you're no gangster. You're Doctor Strange, aren't you? Are you hurt? You're right. I am Doctor Strange. Seems I stopped a few bullets. Could be worse, I guess. I'm Virginia. I'm Virginia Thompson. Let me help you. Let me help you get that arm bandaged. There. Feel better now? Much better. Thanks. Now tell me just what happened here tonight. Whoever they were, they kidnapped my father. He's the inventor of the Delta Ray, and an odd red ray which kills anyone it touches. It can even stop tanks or battleships. If we don't save him, they'll torture him for his secret.
And Cynical Bleat is here.
Cynical Bleat, aka Woody. Hey, Cynical Bleat.
And he says, beware of gingers named Virginia.
Hello, peoples. Let's see. Beware of gingers named Virginia. Meet Virginia. I can't wait to meet Virginia. Yeah. That is an odd way as opposed to the normal rays that kill people you know. Anyways. All right, so getting the story here. I've heard about the Delta Ray gun. We've got to get your father back. If we don't, it will be used against America by either the gangsters or some foreign power. And now we were talking, of course, Tim and I are talking about this a lot as we're getting into 1940 and we're going to start seeing elements of like the war coming into play here.
Yeah.
They're talking about how, they're talking about the idea that these super weapons you find in the comics being used against America, right?
Yeah.
Not just your simple bad guy stuff, but that too. Wait, I hear something. It must be the police at last. Hello, Commissioner. What's the trouble, Miss Thompson? And Doctor Strange? What's happened? What happened to you? You know Doctor Strange? So apparently they're establishing here that Doctor Strange looks like he has some kind of background a little bit here.
Yeah, it definitely looks like Doctor Strange has been operating for a while.
Yeah, because she kind of recognized him, after taking a closer look at him, and then the police also, I guess, know him.
Yeah. So we're not somewhere in the middle of his crime fighting career.
Yeah. I sure do. He's helped the police on many a case. What? They tried to kidnap you? But could be kidnapped. Okay. You want to do this guy right here? I think this guy would be.
Yeah. Okay. What about? Are you gonna do the dad? Dad has been kidnapped.
Oh. I'm sorry. I didn't even see that. Thank you for letting me know. Oh, now I think I. What? What? Your dad's been kidnapped. Dad has been kidnapped.
Okay. And then look, Chief. A note from the kidnappers. It says, "Call off the police, or you'll never see your father again." Mans. What's this? It's signed. Question? Face
A strange terror grips the police.
Find the faceless phantom.
I'm sorry, Miss Thompson. So far, the entire police force has been powerless against the phantom. But we'll see what we can do. I'll get them if I have to do it alone. Don't be rash, Doc. Phantom's escaped every trap we'd laid for it. But carry on and call on me for any help you need. An important clue. Hmm. I, I, someone lost its card. It has Carson Manor printed on it. Let's see. Doc races off through the night on a secret mission. Far behind, a car keeps him in sight. Who is following Doc? Da 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 da. Way late.
Yeah, I think Cynical Beat was, he meant that is an odd ray, as opposed to the normal ray, to the normal rays that kill people,
Yeah.
He meant ray instead of ray.
Yeah. Strange stops in his laboratory for his miraculous formula, allozium, a distillate of sun atoms. Let's see. Indium. It's professor with limitless power, or its possessor. Sun atoms endowing its possessor with limitless powers.
And JR's here saying hail Zale and Xena and Rick, Woody, and Mike.
Yeah. Hail Xenu and Xena, Rick, Woody, and Mike. Hey there. And if
hey,
you guys haven't already, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here to talk about grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. and we'll try to, and I'll try to do the best I can to answer. Now, yes, I know this this scan is not the best, but we're grinding through it as best we can.
Yeah. Well, we're used to not good scans. This is better than some, but not as worse as others.
Right. For many years, Doc has prepared for the great day when he can gain superhuman strength and use it to defeat crime. Now he is ready to test Alwyn's great and unknown powers to bring the faceless phantom to justice. So at least now we're getting an idea how he survived that ordeal.
Yeah, but I think he's saying he's stopping by the lab to get this. He's just taking it. I don't
Great.
think.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't think he had this when he was doing the ordeal earlier.
But then again, maybe he did, and we just didn't see it until now. I mean, maybe it's one of I don't know. Maybe it's one of those things where he has to take it every few hours or something like that. At certain intervals.
Yeah, maybe, but I'm just going by what's been shown or said thus far.
And we know sometimes the logic of the writing is not always not always that great.
Oh yeah, of course. We know these stories back in the 30s and the 40s have lots of leaps in logic.
Right.
Even
But in a way, particularly for a superhero story, that's okay because the whole idea of escapism and fantasy, like
yeah,
even though we may know in reality some of this stuff cannot actually happen as it does, it's kind of
yeah,
nice to think that it actually can in some world, right?
yeah.
you know, um, hmm. Great Scott! It even heals bullet wounds. Fully recovered, Doc continues his perilous mission. He speeds through the night, little knowing that his every move is being watched. See the shadows there?
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah.
Hello there. How do I get to Carson Manor?
Oi, that's the old haunted mansion straight ahead. But gee, mister, you better keep away. There's been strange things going on there lately.
Hmm. I wonder if you think about it, there's maybe because when we saw the bad guy there, the bad guy looked kind of like a skull face, and he seemed to be a face, or they called him a faceless phantom there. I wonder if there's some
Yeah.
horror elements they're trying to throw into the story too.
Who knows? Possibly.
Let's see. Let's see.
On something? On
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Let's see. Okay, I'm just gonna say what I think, but it probably is undeterred by this grim warning. Strange arrives at the old mansion, unaware that danger lurks. He enters, so they're looking to jump him when he comes in there.
Yeah. It's like a house out of Scooby Doo. Before Scooby Doo.
Yeah. A sudden attack catches Doc off his guard. taken by surprise. He is overpowered. He is overpowered. Behind him, a door opens, and silently, unobserved, a dim figure enters. Throw up your hands, or I'll shoot to kill. Don't try any funny business. Take those ropes off, Dr. Strange, and be quick about it. Behind Virginia, a secret panel opens. The Phantom creeps up and seizes her. I think you were doing the Phantom before.
Yeah. We've got them both now, boys. Take them to the old dungeon and give them the water treatment.
Help! All right, before I continue, I just remembered I forgot to do something.
Okay.
So why don't you talk to everybody here for a moment while I go take care of something real quick here.
So, how is everybody in the chat tonight? How are you, JR? How are you, Cynical Beat? Are you enjoying the story thus far? I know not much has happened. Of course, we have our leaps in logic as usual. What else can I say? I had a good games night tonight. At my church, we played five star something. I forget what it's called. I played it once before, about a month ago at when we had a games night at our church. So what else shall I talk about? Has anybody been checked? Okay.
Well, finish what you were just starting to say.
I was just going to ask people whether they've been watching my shorts or not.
All right. Anyway, getting back, of course, to the story here. The captives are taken to an underground dungeon. What terrible fate awaits them?
Okay, boss. Okay, boss. Let it rip. I hope they're thirsty.
Let's see. The next moment, a roaring stream.
You keep forgetting the word crunchy.
It's not in the script.
Well, he's English. So if he's English, he's going to say crunchy.
Sorry about that.
What was going on?
Oh, my cousin was just saying that I should have been using an English accent. I should have put in the word crikey a bit.
All right. So, anyways, getting back into the story here. Let's see. The next moment, a roaring stream of water pours into the dungeon. Where we've not only done chance agree to we've only got one chance to try to reach a little white pouch in my coat. Yeah. Let's see. Hurrying against time, Virginia places the Alusum on the floating board. The rising waters carry it to Doc's lips. He swallows, and a great surge of strength rushes through his body. With the power of Hercules, he pulls huge stones from the wall,
Like paper.
like paper. Let's see. With the strength of a giant, Doc breaks through the floor and surprises the mob as they examine the Delta ray gun. All right, you heels. It takes more than a little water to stop me. Now, what do you think heels is meaning in this case?
Well, bad guys, thugs.
Yeah.
Something along that
heel
lines of it.
heel is still used for is a term still used for bad guy in pro wrestling
Yeah.
nowadays. Sure, it was used for bad guy for a lot of things, or people who are just kind of like, who are just like, because I remember in cartoons too, and when a character did something wrong, sometimes their head would turn into like a heel. Step right up, boys. I need the exercise. He overpowers the gangsters and charges the Phantom and turns the Delta ray gun on him. But the Elysium makes him
Immune.
immune to its deadly red beam. Virginia faints.
Of course.
He got away this time, but sooner or later, I'll catch up with him. That's it. Meanwhile, on
Outside the
house.
Those bombs, bombs will blow them to bits. Strange will never cross my trail again.
With fistful,
I think that's fearful.
with fearful Lister, the old manor explodes. A roaring fire sweeps its interior. Thanks to the Elysium, Doc is unharmed. To protect Virginia from the flames, he flees to the top floor of the blazing inferno. Boom!
Okay, I'm not sure whether that's the best way to protect her, because the fire's going to go up, raging on, and probably the best way to protect her is getting out of the building.
Maybe he thought the only way he could get is by getting up to the roof and jumping off.
Yes, but I guess so, possibly.
Wow, Virginia's dress has caught fire. Gotta do something quick.
Oh,
Yeah,
geez, who didn't see that coming?
that's gotta be an interesting scenario. You're carrying a woman wearing a dress. All of a sudden, her dress catches on fire.
How about you
That's,
put the fire? Well, I'd say,
huh?
how about you put the? How about I'd say, how about you put the fire out that's on her dress? But there's fire all around them. I don't think that's going to matter much till you get out of that place.
Right. Yeah, I know that, but I'm just thinking of some of the possibilities where they could go with that.
Yeah.
So, right, so to save Virginia, Doc jumps from the blazing inferno. Kind of what I was saying, right?
Yeah, but the way that it's put, this was not his original thought.
And you think just the way they went about getting to that point was a little screwy, is what you're
Yeah.
saying.
I don't think he went up there intending to jump. I think it was an afterthought. Oh, I can jump off the building.
His super strength averts certain death. He lands lightly and easily, and to save the burning girl, dives headlong into the black waters.
Okay, the last picture did not look headlong. Like,
The
if
way
you go
they
back
wrote
up.
it, at least as best as I can interpret, considering.
Yeah, I get that. But if you go up, just to the last two panels, the first panel shows them jumping, right? Feet
Oh yeah.
first.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's supposed to be head first into the water, and that doesn't look like water there either. That they're jumping into.
Yeah, so, yeah. What happened? You're all right now. Your dress caught fire, and I had to think fast. Lucky for us, the river was here. So, I almost get the impression, especially based on what you just said. I think the writer really put himself into the situation here. Like
Yeah.
the character had to think fast and try to figure out how to get out of it. I think the writer was, in his own mind, was doing the same exact thing.
Yeah.
He didn't have much forethought on exactly how he's gonna put that scene together. So he just on the
but see
fly.
the thing is, he could have rewrote it.
Yeah, well,
Like me. I don't know what's going to happen after this, obviously. But I would have just wrote that he runs out of the building, crashing through things or going right through the fire. Because if you're running,
I know you said he could have rewrote it, but I think, unlike today where we have digital word processors and all that, they didn't have the means to where they could make these editing corrections as easily as we can today, right?
well, with a typewriter, maybe not quite as easy as today, but it's still easy. And I would imagine before he's typing this up, he's writing it by hand. So I would think, anyways. I could be wrong, but
Paper was expensive back then.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Well, no, it's more expensive back then now than it is then. Although it was more
You have to
needed for
remember,
the
we're okay, and just so, and I know if your cousin's like listening into us, listening in and following along with,
She's just sharing my side of the conversation because of the
yeah.
headphone.
Well,
Paperback
you know,
was
again,
endless.
we're reading comics from, of course, 1939.
Yeah, she knows
So,
that.
so they didn't necessarily have all the technologies that we do today.
Paperback then
Rick,
was
why don't you talk to? Because there's one more thing I have to go do real quick.
Yeah. Okay.
So why don't you talk to everybody while I'm gone? I'll be right back.
Okay. Okay.
paperback then was a relatively new concept because before then they wrote with pen and ink on pieces of bark, tree bark.
Not in 1939. Paper had been around.
Okay, not in 1939, no, but it was still extremely expensive. It wasn't. This is just before my mom's time. My mom was born in 41.
Yeah, but you got to remember,
In 41, my mom could not just go to the store and buy paper. You had
Yeah.
to order the paper.
yeah,
You only got it
because
issued to 10
the
at a time.
consumerism part hadn't thing, but paper was technically cheaper back then. Because Anita, this book that we're reading, that was like 90 pages with ads and all that, was like 10 cents. And I've done I was done a comparison a few weeks back on here. The price with inflation, this book should only be like 10, like a couple bucks. But if they were to make the same book nowadays, it'd be like $10, $20 or more.
Yeah, 90 pages, yeah.
Or I should say, what they would in comparison, a 10-cent book with inflation should only cost, $2 or $3, where today we'll charge $20 or $30 for a book that size.
Wow. Yeah, you're right. Open my eyes.
I might be a little bit off for the price nowadays, but it's definitely a lot more expensive. They're charging for a comic book that has like 32 pages with ads. They're charging like $6 or $7.
Wow.
Maybe 5 if you're lucky. And then, I'll admit that's slightly better quality. This is newsprint, but still. And newsprint is a cheap paper too.
Yeah. Cheap in quality as well as price.
Yeah. But, they had lots of scrap paper back then, and that's of course what the comic book is written on. Writing, lots of people had stuff for writing, I'm not sure whether they would have had pens like we do. Obviously, they wouldn't have big pens or whatever like we have today. You're right; they would have had to use probably, a quill or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, my mom remembers using a quill on paper with the ink, dipping the quill in with the ink. And she remembered also using, having to bring her homework home on a chalkboard and her math questions written out on a chalkboard really neatly with chalk.
Yeah.
Only white chalk too.
Yeah. But the main thing that I was trying to say earlier is for writing, instead of typing it out on a typewriter and making mistakes, right? Wanting to correct your story.
Yeah.
I would think, somebody writing a story like this would write it out by hand first, get all the rough draft stuff done first.
Yeah. For sure.
Just like, most of the time we would today, but today because we got computers, And like I remember when I first started doing my comics, I wrote them up by hand a lot because or I made sure they were right before I printed them, on paper, from a computer. It's easier to cross out a word on paper, right?
All right, sorry about that. I had to take care of
Yeah.
some domestic stuff. So,
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
all right. So it sounds like you and your cousin there were having a bit of a discussion, huh?
Yeah, about the cheapness of paper, the expensiveness, however you want to word it, And I was going into a little bit of what we had talked about a few weeks ago too, about about the price of a comic book back then compared to today, and
Yeah. But back then it was like 10 cents, and now, well, you also had back then they were doing
10 cents
anthologies,
back
whereas
then.
now they're doing more feature style comics. You know.
In 1939, Grandpa worked for a nickel a day.
yeah, 10
Well,
cents.
that was kind of across the board though, because that was
That
around
was
that
2
was
days
towards
a
the
day.
end of the Depression, right there.
Yeah. Sorry, you gotta. What?
Yeah.
He's talking. You're talking. But yeah. I guess so. I'm not sure what the wages were back then. We could look it up
Nickel.
easy.
A nickel a day. I remember Grandpa explicitly telling me.
Probably a nickel an hour. Because
Nickel a day.
because
When Mom was young.
let me finish. I remember watching Little House on the Prairie, and they would get more than that for a day's wages.
No, not in the 1800s.
Yeah,
No, his grandpa worked for.
or they get a nickel or a buck for a week's work, a buck or two for a week's work back in Little House on the Prairie days.
No, that was way off. His grandpa used to work for a nickel a day as a
well,
waiter.
well, we
plus tips.
Anita, we can have this discussion later. I am on somebody's show that's supposed to be reading comics. Although it's an interesting thing, I don't want to get us too off because I don't even think we're halfway through the comic, and it's 30 pages.
Yeah, well, also just, and I know your cousin probably can't hear me
Okay.
saying this again. This is around the time towards the end of the Depression, so a lot of the wages were down lower.
Yeah.
But again, then that's also another thing we're looking at too as part of this too. This is a historical retrospect. So we're not just we're looking at the world that we're being built, but we're also looking at how things were in the world we were living in too, right?
Or they
We're
were
looking
living
back and just kind of trying to get a general idea of what was going on and stuff.
and this is in the U.S. too. In U.S.
Yeah. So you want to do that guy right there?
Okay. Let me see. Hello down there. Grab this, grab this line and hang on.
Thanks for your help, Commissioner. Oh, I guess it was committed, so I should have done that anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for your help, Commissioner. We had a run-in with the Phantom, but he escaped again. Never mind that. Thank God. Thank God you're both safe. It's lucky we followed you. You were you here. We'll catch up with the Phantom later. So, refusing a police escort, Doc in Virginia start homeward, unaware of the huge, sinister truck, which clings to the deer trail.
Just while we're doing this, I am looking up the minimum wage stuff or wages.
June.
And
Minimum
the rate we're going, this might be the only story we might be able to get through. We're having to get through all this stated stuff here, but
Yeah, this is saying minimum wage federal law in the U.S. in 1930. There was a law enacted in 1938 for 25 cents. Now I'm presuming that's per hour because it doesn't say that. Because no, obviously that's not Canada. That's the States.
as they round a turn in the narrow mountain road.
Per day. Guarantee you would have been per day.
Anyways, okay.
As they round a turn in the narrow mountain road, the truck bears down on them with a mighty roar. There is a terrific crash. Sideswiped, their car careens over the mountain, carrying them to certain death on the jagged rock below. Want to do the gangster there?
So long, punks. And then that finishes strange. Boy, will the boss be glad to hear this.
Doc, shielding Virginia with his body, starts the takes the brunt of the crash, but escapes unhurt. Virginia, are you hurt? I'll make them pay for this. Want to do the gangsters again there?
Okay. Look, he's alive. He's helping the girl out of the wreck. Can't anything kill this guy?
You'll be safe here, while I attend to those mugs.
Shoot him down. We gotta kill him. The boss don't want Strange alive.
Hey, look at that guy come. Wait. I think that's you, because they're talking about Strange.
Yeah. Hey, look at that guy come. He ain't human. Bullets can't kill him.
There's a yike for help right there.
Help.
Knocking out the gangsters, Doc turns just in time to see a fast car roaring down on him.
Step it on it, Joe. Run him down.
But gripping the bumper of the speeding car in his mighty grasp, stops it dead in its tracks. Sneaking up on me, huh? And hurls it over the side of the mountain. So they just try to drag him off a cliff. Now he's going to throw them off a cliff. In the meantime,
I think that's the commissioner. Maybe.
No, they're all the gangsters right there.
Huh.
Looks like they got her.
Jeez, this kidnapping's easy. She'll wake. What's that? No. She'll wake her old man. She'll make her old man talk.
I think what it's supposed to say is, gee, this kidnapping's easy.
Yeah, she'll make her old man talk.
Yeah.
Step on it. I don't feel safe. The strange up on the cliff. He might spot us any minute.
But suddenly, a mysterious figure let's see. A mysterious figure confronts the kidnappers.
What the? Come on out of there, or I'll plug you.
But with an amazing skill, the mysterious man leaps into battle with the surprised mobsters. Jujutsu prevails. Jujutsu, just for those who may not know, it's a type of martial art, like Brazilian jiu-jitsu. The grappling style martial art, focusing in on controlling joint locks.
Yeah.
Take that, dog. That should please the honorable Missy. Oh, so that's a different guy.
And that's her. The next one.
Oh, thank heaven you're safe. We better thank mystery chap for saving you from the kidnapping. Oh boy. Oh boy. Who are you? And where did you come from? My name is Togo. Honorable sir. I pass by when evil men attack Missy. Doc, his amazing skill. Oh wait. Doc, his amazing skill against
those
men gives me an idea. He might make a valuable bodyguard for me. That is, if he'll only accept. What do you say, Togo? This unworthy one accepts. Most thankfully, master. Thanks for driving us home, Togo. Don't forget you have a job as bodyguard now. put the car in the garage and good night. We leave Doc, saying good night to Virginia, and follow Togo on a strange mission through the secret alleys of Chinatown. I beg speech with the mighty one, and
Oh.
would that? Oh, you were about to say something, Rick?
Oh no! I thought you were going to get me to do the voice for the guy in there. So
Yeah, I'm actually gonna get through the Togo first.
yeah, I just jumped the gun too early.
Yeah, and would that you announce my arrival?
Your presence has been anticipated into oh faithful servant.
I bring good news, Almighty One. I have established I've established in the employ of the professor's daughter.
It is well planned. It is well. Our plans are succeeding.
Could this be the bad guy, maybe? Maybe using some Eastern mysticism here to make him appear as a ghost?
Our country is in so need of a daughter ray gun with which to fight our our real oppressors. Our oppressors serve faithfully until Doc Strange regains it, then strike to fail is to die.
I go now, Almighty One. The next day, Doc returns to the ruins of the old manor and discovers a clue to the whereabouts of the faceless phantom. He's dead wrong if he thinks he's shaking me off. Among the charred embers, he discovers a letter of the sort of
On the body of one of the gangsters.
on the body of one of the gangsters.
Yeah, everything
You,
on that body burned except this letter.
yeah. Here's something. This letter says the gang is to meet at dawn. The address is burnt away, but the stamps from the Republic of San Pedro. The only port of entry, the city of Morales. Maybe I can pick up the Phantom's trail from there. Later, have you discovered anything, Doc? Yes, I believe your dad's held somewhere in San Pedro. And I'm leaving immediately for Morales. I hope to find both your father and the Phantom.
It's probably the commercial.
Yeah, I know. The Phantom's big enough game for a police commissioner Mind if I go along? I'm going too.
What about your bodyguard?
Oh my god. I can't read any of that. That's too blurry. I can't read any of that. I'm gonna have to skip that one.
Something by.
Yeah, it's too blurry, Rick. I don't even try it. Down in the long down in the long down in the lowermost depths of the ship, a horrible figure lurks, unknown to all the dread, faceless phantom, the dreaded faceless phantom,
Rides
the seas.
If that one panel was bigger for me, I might have been able to get it. But
Behind the smiley door, a poison powder is being placed in Doc's food. Or behind the galley door. I think it's one of the gangsters or one of the henchmen there.
this'll fix him.
Overcome, he retires to his cabin and lapses to unconsciousness. My head, it's spinning. Outside his cabin, like wolves, wait the deadly phantom and his henchmen.
He's out like a light. Okay. Coast is clear, Chief.
Unconscious, the tightly bound Doc is carried
to the rail. Chuck 'em over, boys.
With a mighty splash, he sinks beneath the ocean. He sinks beneath the surface of the ocean.
You played right into my hands. That time strange. So ends all who dares to match wits with the Phantom.
The shock of the waves brings Doc to his senses, but he does not see the awful fin which has broken the surface of the water behind him. Where am I? A sixth sense warning him. He turns in time to stare into the mighty jaws of the charging shark. Despite his efforts, he barely makes it. Let me see if that can help.
Breaking his bonds, he meets the shark's charge.
Yep. Breaking his bond, he meets the shark charge.
Can you read that? Barehanded, he tears apart the jaws of the mighty fish and is saved.
Yeah, I could read most of it. I just couldn't get the first word there. That
Oh yeah.
Let's see.
Weakened by his fight.
Weakened by his fight with the shark, and the poison he has been fed. He is about to sink for the last time. I'm going down. A seaplane drops from the skies. Thanks, fella. You saved my life. Can you fly me to Morales fast? Want to do the other guy there?
Well, shit. Shit, can. Lucky I spotted you. How come you were in the middle of the ocean? I'd like to know how you got him out of the middle of the ocean in a seaplane without getting out.
So that's the story, Parker. Now to communicate with my friends.
What's the excitement over there? The newsboys are calling an extra.
The liner on which his friends were passengers has been blown up at sea. All hands are lost.
Oh, geez, doll, I'm sorry. Or geez, Doc, I'm sorry.
Virginia dead, and poor Baxter and Togo. This is more of that fiend's work. If it takes the rest of my life, I'll get the Phantom. I swear it. After days of feverish searching, after clues.
Hello?
I can hear you, Rick. Can you what? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Rick, I can hear you.
Okay. I paused my VPN, so I think it made me go out of phase for a second or two.
Okay. All right. So, anyways, getting back to.
Sorry about that.
No problem. After days of feverish searching after clues, Doc comes face to face with Togo alive. Togo, how come you?
How came you here?
You're here, Master? A humble servant, though thought you dead, Master. There was a terrible explosion. None but this unworthy person was left alive. Doc overhears a clue to the Phantom's whereabouts. I think that's the pilot guy from before.
I think it's supposed to be a different one, but anyways. I took 3 of them out to the island last week.
Out where? Where did you take them?
What are you talking about? We don't know nothing. See?
Doc realizes that he must buy information. let's see. Too bad none of you fellows know. I would have paid you well. As Doc Strange and Togo leave, a
That's
stealthy
stealthy.
figure lies in wait for them. Look out, Master. It's okay. It's okay, fellas. I'll slip you the in. Oh. I think it's the. I think it's the pilot. So you want to do the pilot?
It's okay, fellas. I'll slip you the info. Hand over the dough first.
Yeah, this should be a lot more enjoyable if the scan was better.
Yeah.
Piloted by
Parker.
they set out for a strange island in a distant jungle. Like as they approach it, they are sighted. They roar to
Fighting.
what was
Fast
it?
fighting. Oh, I thought you were having trouble with the one word. Fast fighting.
Too fast. Too fast fish.
Fighting.
Or too fast fighting. Planes dive down on them. Doc's ship, unarmed, is caught in a deadly blast of machine gun fire as the enemy planes swoop in for the kill. There is no escape. But one chance remains. Swallowing some of the perilous
Precious.
alcium. What was it? The precious
I think
alcium. Precious alcium. Doc crashes
crawls
out onto the fuselage. Crack!
Geez, that plane had to be awfully close.
Bracing himself against the rudder, he awaits the charge of the other plane. Ow! Wow. Oh, look at that. You see what he did right there?
Yeah. My only question is, what is this guy doing? A kamikaze run to this plane? For him to be that close to do that?
He just took the Elysium, the Elosium. So maybe the Elosium allows him so much super strength that much like Superman and some other heroes like that, he could like punch a plane like that and not get himself hurt.
Oh, that I get. But for that plane to get that close to him to do that, that plane had to have been doing a kamikaze run into the other plane that he's on.
You may make a good point there.
Because that's point on the front rudder, right?
Mm-hmm.
Front propeller.
Propeller and motor shattered by the force of Doc's blow. The second plane goes down in flames. It would have also been kind of a wonder to see how kids would have had enough of attention span to read a 38-page story like this. Granted, we're looking at it from Faded, but when this was probably out new, right? You have to wonder if the kids who were reading this had really the attention to get through the whole story. Rick?
Yeah, for sure.
You would have had something to say about that. Right.
Yeah, yes. This is definitely a long story, but it's just like anything. They can stop it and come back to it, right?
Uh-huh.
There's a few spots where I thought they could have ended this and continued it next issue.
Right.
Like,
Suddenly, the
what,
deadly.
what page are we on out of this story, anyways?
Well, out of this book, out of 68 pages, we're on 19.
And this is 37 pages. We're almost already 2 hours in. But then again, we didn't start till about 20, 15 or 20 after. 20 after.
Yeah.
Thanks
Yeah, something. I'm gonna cut this short because with the scan being as faded as it is, we kind of covered a good chunk of the story. But with the scan as bad as it is, we're gonna be here for quite a while if I continue reading it to the end. So I think we're gonna just stop here, and I'm not gonna read any other stories because, as you just said right there, we're like an hour 40 into this already. So I'm gonna do the other thing I was going to do for tonight, and talk about kind of the the epilogue for 1939 here, and then we'll get into
maybe what you can do if you want, record somewhere where we are in this story, and maybe not tomorrow. Well, you're probably not going to want to do it next week with your Thanksgiving. But maybe in a few weeks, on a Saturday or something, do an extra show.
I think we covered enough of the story.
That
normally
people get the
gist. Try to finish it, but that's just way too long, and the scan is just too bad.
It's like I was just going to say.
I think we covered it. I think we covered what we could of it with the time we got. Maybe in hindsight, we've done the other stories instead, but the scan probably would have been just as bad. So but I think we covered enough of the story to get the point across.
Because we covered like a good 15 pages of the story.
Yeah, so
maybe
about half of it, which all we're really meant to do. But maybe if the scan was better, then we probably would have got through the whole story. But the scan's just
because
the book is just too bad. It's just
even with me late and you having to do your couple of things, we're an hour into reading one story, and we're not even close to finish.
Yeah, but we got enough of it in there. So Anyways, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do a little. This was, of course, our last of the 1939 coverage here. So what we're gonna do a little epilogue here, a little postscript, kind of show everybody something I kind of put together this week as we were. All right, so we're already. All right, so let me just see if that's already for you guys. All right. So in this little epilogue here, so put up here comparing comics published between 1938 1939 because to kind of show you guys the growth. So I'm going to go down to the. So in 1938, the totals were you had 8 companies publishing a grand total of 24 books for an average of 3 books per company. So basically, what I mean by that, because whenever I say it without saying it like this, people think that I'm talking about each company, but I'm not. You had 8 total companies between the 8 of them at the end of 1938. publishing 24 books
Yeah.
for an average of like 3 books per company.
Yeah.
Okay?
Where some might have produced 4 and some might have produced 1.
Right, and we're gonna look at that here in a quick moment too. Now, by the end of 1939, where we're at now, you have 17 total companies publishing a grand total of 48 books for an average approximately of 2.8 books per company, or just under 3. So, in terms of the number of companies and books, you kind of just more or less just kind of double or just over, just went over double, between the end of 38 and 39.
Yeah. Well, you've over doubled the companies and you've doubled the books, but they're producing just less than the other year per company, approximately.
So now moving back up to the more top part of the page there. So like basically DC was, so the companies that came into existence in 1939 include Marvel, Archie, Harvey, Fawcett.
Well, and we should, at least for Marvel, say it wasn't the Marvel that we know at this time. It was
Timely Comics. But basically,
which will eventually become Marvel.
More well-known name, like Archie wasn't called Archie at that point. I don't think.
Yeah,
it was called I think MS Enterprise or something like that. We're just using the more well-known names of the companies.
But I just think it's good to point out that they weren't whatever name that you.
Yeah, Harvey, Fawcett, Fox, Feature Syndicate, Hillman, Lev Gleason, Novelty Press, Standard. Those 9 companies right there, came into existence in 1939. DC went from four books published to 7 by the end of 6 monthly and 1 quarterly.
So basically, they have almost doubled the production from 1938.
Right, and even like Marvel and Archie came out blazing. That you had a couple more additions to Dell's roster. The only company that actually produced less books was Centaur. They went down from 7 books to 4 books. At the end of 1938, they were the preeminent publisher. They were publishing the most comics at the end of 1938 with 7. And then you fast forward to 1939. DC has become the top publisher there, publishing 7 books. So you had
where DC almost doubled their thing. They almost cut the stuff in half. The question is, what type of books were Centaur producing in 1938 compared to 1939? What were those 7 books?
A lot of the books were pretty much, like Centaur was doing like amazing mystery adventures. So at the end of 38, the 7 books included Star Comics and Star Ranger. Star Comics was kind of a mixed anthology, and Star Ranger was kind of a Western focused mixed anthology. You had funny pages, comic pages. They were more didn't have a lot of regular characters out of there at that point. It wasn't until like Keen Detective and Amazing Mystery Funnies and Amazing Man that you started seeing more of the superhero type characters.
Yeah. So the question is, which books did they get rid of, or are these
I know that Star Ranger and Star Comics were gone.
Okay, so the Western basically.
Yeah. See, the 4 books at the end of 39 were, I believe, Amazing Mystery Funnies, Keen Detective Funnies, Amazing Man Comics, and Funny Pages. Those are the
Okay.
only 4 books remaining from that company at that point. But everybody,
Yeah.
but as you can tell, Rick, as you can tell, everybody else more or less increased.
Yeah.
Right?
Or stayed the same. That went
Yeah.
from 4 to 6.
Well, let's see.
Arch-
DC, as you said, almost doubled their production. Marvel and Archie came out blazing. Marvel got
2 and
2
3.
titles in a. Well, they started up in September. Their books went on sale in September of that year. So in that last, like,
4 months.
4 months there, last third of the year there, I would say,
They brought up 2 books.
they basically came out blazing. Archie
So-
with 3 books.
So
Harvey started off with 2 books. Pretty much.
yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see with Marvel coming out, we'll say fairly strong, whether they'll keep that up in 1940
Right.
and even, almost catch up to DC and again with Archie as well.
David McKay added a book that was Magic Comics. Fawcett, of course, came out at the end of the year here with, because they basically came out right at the end of the year with Wiz Comics. Fiction House added 3 comics towards
So
for much of the year. Jumbo Comics was their lone book they were publishing, and then they added 3 genre specific comics, Jungle Comics.
I was going to say, where DC, almost doubled, they quadrupled their stuff.
Yeah,
although
it's
still less technically than DC, but they still they increased as much as DC in number of books.
Yeah, they added 3 books to their roster, and then Quality added a book.
Yeah, they doubled theirs.
Yeah, so basically, and then at the end of 38, Centaur was the preeminent publisher, and then DC and Dell were second with 4, and then David McKay and United Feature Syndicates with 3, and then at the end of 1939, DC had become pretty much the prominent publisher, with Dell right behind it, followed by Centaur. Centaur still more or less maintained. Centaur, David McKay, and
Fiction
House. So,
but with the one going down, they've got 4 books. They've still got more, but that doesn't necessarily bode well for them if they're going down.
Well, I'll give you a little heads up, because of course I had a chance to look at this a little earlier. Okay.
Yeah.
Centaur started in 1936. They would cease doing. Even though some of their books would still be being published as late as 44, Centaur as a company would come to an end in 1942.
Yeah.
So obviously the characters they came up with, Phantom of the Fair, Speed Centaur, now even though Amazing Man was done by Bill Everett, who also created Namor, apparently that wasn't enough to keep this company going though for beyond, let's say, 1942.
That sort of answers a question whether they're going to stay on the decline. Obviously they are. How much on the decline? It's hard to say. Will they be able to tread water for 1940 and 41 and go down?
Yeah, they probably. I do know that I think sometime, maybe within the next year, I think Funny Pages will cease publishing, and then they'll just be publishing Amazing Mystery Comics, Keen Detective Funnies, and Amazing. So
some of these questions I'm asking rhetorically, more for suspense for the people watching at some point, for them to tune in to keep
right.
Ooh, what's going to happen? Well, we know with you saying, well, what happens in 42, but what's going to happen in the next 2 years, we know the inevitable.
Well, and you know, there's going to probably be even more. Look, overall, when we took a look at the overall earlier, right? Essentially, overall, comic publishing doubled its publishing when it
Yeah.
came. They doubled the number of books. Over double. You had basically 9 companies start up in 1930, and they produced another 24 books after the first year. So you know, um, at this point, of
You're
course,
Mike.
you
You're.
oh,
I think you're a little too far away from the mic because you're being muffled a bit. Can't quite hear you.
okay. Yeah, but well, that's kind of a unique complaint because most people say that I get too close to the camera most of the time.
Yeah, but when you were leaning back like that, when you were talking, it was getting hard to hear you. When you're right there, it's great. But yeah, I get the fact. I get the thing where you get it when you go to read something on the screen, you get a little too close. It seems at times, but that I understand why you're doing it. But I think you want everybody to hear you when you're talking. So,
but as I said, just as a point of just seeing that the business is starting to take off here, right?
yeah,
Because overall the production, the publication of these comics has doubled.
yeah,
Went from 8 companies in existence in 1938 to 17 in 1939.
yeah.
And then you had 24 books being published between those 8 companies at the end of 38 and 48 being published over 17 through over 17 companies in 39. So
yeah.
overall,
So
you kind of go ahead.
I was just going to say, so you can say that they're seeing that there's money to be made in these books, these comics. Right. Otherwise, not all these companies would be popping up.
Yeah, I get asked, and some people have asked me before, well, how are the books selling? I don't know it by the sales numbers. I just know it more by, looking at, okay, how many companies were producing comics, publishing comics, and how many books were they publishing?
Yeah, unfortunately, back then they weren't keeping track of the exact sales records. Well, they probably were, but those records have been lost, unfortunately, to history.
Right.
They haven't been kept anywhere that anybody knows where to look for something like that. Maybe.
But obviously, if you have a case where you have more companies coming into existence, publishing, and you have an overall increase in publication, right? That should tell you that they probably are making some money on these.
Yeah, or at least some people are. Obviously, ones like Centaur they're starting to lose some money.
Yeah, and it's kind
most
of funny
likely because they're producing less books, or that's what you would figure.
Well, okay, so as I said, Centaur started up in 1936.
Yeah.
So between let's say between 36 and 38, they were the top. Centaur was between 1936 and 1938.
Yeah, they were making
at that time what DC and Marvel are kind of now.
Yeah, they were
kind of the big dog in the pond.
Yeah, although it wasn't a very big pond at that time.
Yeah, at that point, you're right. At that
point,
it wasn't
1939, they're seeing a decline. So yeah, they were making money up until 39, but now they're starting to lose some money because
other companies are coming in to kind of fill the gap,
the void, and that's why, because what they're up against, they're not producing the stuff that was it Centaur that we saw over this last, reading this last year's worth of stuff? Is it not them that we saw a lot of their stories be really out there? I forget offhand. I'm not sure whether you can remember whether there was a lot of leaps in logic.
I'm trying to. Well, they did have some pretty fanciful. So, just as a kind of a general reminder, so some of the characters that Centaur was publishing included, of course, Speed Centaur,
Yeah, which
the
is
actual
the
Centaur,
center.
Phantom of the Fair,
That one is pretty good. I like Phantom of the Fair
yeah.
usually.
Amazing Man.
Forget about him a little bit, but
Yeah, amazing man. He's kind of the he's a Bill Everett creation. I've read more with RJ with here. Let's see, the Arrow, one of the
yeah,
first art.
Arrow's usually pretty good. I think, if I remember right.
I think we've only had a chance to read one or two of his stories, but he was kind of one of the first Archer heroes. Dean Denton, Sign Detective.
Yeah,
So, but then, with a lot of these, though, you have a lot of hit and miss characters, right?
yeah. True.
Because, again, we're still pretty early on. Granted, we're starting to see now I would say at this point, if you were to look at it more from a human development standpoint, right?
Yeah,
They're coming out of their basically coming out of their toddlerhood. You can make an argument that now the comics industry at this point in 1939 are now starting to hit like early to mid childhood, right?
yeah. Well, they're definitely going to have the companies that want to survive. And although we know a lot more, now today, but back then, they're going to have to up their game a little because back in 1936 there wasn't much competition. Now you've got 16 other companies competing with you for that dollar, for that money. So you've got to up your game,
right? And of course, as time goes on, as we continue these historical comic books, that we'll be able to look back and see how all this develops over time.
Yeah.
So like, of course, when I have RJ here in a couple of weeks and we start 1940, of course, we'll start off with kind of just a quick overview of what's happened in 1940. Then we'll get into the readings with DC.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's been quite a bit of a good talk there. So now with that, we'll start to wrap things up here. Rick, if you can stick around after the show,
of course,
or post game, but post show. But before we go, we do have one more thing to do, of course. Today being Friday, November 17th, 2023. Let's go ahead and take a look back at this day in each history. All right, so first off, we're going to head back 90 years ago today.
Wow, lots of time ago.
And we're going to head back to 1933 here. Because on this date in 1933, Fleischer Studios' I Eat My Spinach Popeye cartoon, as well as Terry Toon's Robinson Crusoe, both premiered on this date back in 1933, 90 years ago today. I Eat My Fleischer Studios' I Eat My Spinach, a Popeye cartoon, and Terry Toon's Robinson Crusoe, both premiered on this date back in 1933. So Terry Toons, of course, is the company that would eventually give us Mighty Mouse. Just so you know, no tidbit there. So, anyways, moving on to the next piece in each history, we head to 1983, which was 40 years ago today.
My lifetime.
On this date, 40 years ago today, the 385th issue of Sergeant Rock went on sale. Went on sale on this date back in 1983, and still, even at that time, the price you get a 32-page comic for 75 cents. That's still pretty affordable compared to today.
Yeah.
Now, Sergeant Rock, of course, it started out as Our Army at War. It was a war anthology. It kind of became a feature anthology here towards the end. Sergeant Rock was the lead character, and they, as you can tell there, they had one other story in there. So it was a bit of an, it wasn't quite as big an anthology, but still was an anthology nonetheless. So on this date, 40 years ago today, the 385th issue of Sergeant Rock went on sale from DC Comics.
Yeah. And it looks like it might have been both stories for him, Soldier's Grave and...
No, it would not have been, because if the other story would have been a Sergeant Rock story, then his
name would have been beside
in front of it. Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure whether that was just his name and then listing, sort of.
Yeah. No. They on that site, they if a particular character is featured, then their name goes in front of the title of the story. So, anyways, moving on to the next piece in each history, which we move ahead to 2003. As on this date in 2003, oops. Actually, that was, let me try that again. There we go. On this date in 2003, the day after Survivor Series that year, WWE held its Monday Night Raw event in the SC Texas Arena in Beaumont, Texas. On that show, the main event, Batista, Randy Orton, and Triple H of Evolution defeat Goldberg in a 3-on-1 handicap match. You also saw the Dudley Boys retain the World Tag Team Championship over Scott Steiner and Test. Rob Van Dam retained the Intercontinental title over Ric Flair via DQ. Garrison Cade and Mark Jindrak defeated La Resistance, and to open the show, Booker T defeated Mark Henry, who had Theodore Long in his corner. So 20 years ago today, WWE held its Monday Night Raw event from the SC Texas Arena in Beaumont, Texas. The night after Survivor Series. And finally, on this date 5 years ago today, White Fox's Peacemaker Kurogane Part 2 friend, the Peacemaker movie, Part 2 of the movie series, Peacemaker Kurogane, premiered on this date.
5 years ago?
What was that?
You said premiered on this date 5 years ago?
Right. The movie did. Part 2. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. So again, just a reminder of some scheduling notes. Next week, we will only be broadcasting up to Wednesday. So Thursday and Friday, I hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving. We're back here on Sunday with our panel show, of course. Rick, I hope you'll be back on Sunday. We can give our impressions of what we did read today. We may not have made it to the whole story, but
Yeah.
We still,
And,
we still chunk of it.
will we be here the Sunday of Thanksgiving weekend?
That fall, yeah, we will on that Sunday. The following, you mean next Sunday, a week from the
Yeah,
Sunday?
yeah.
I plan on having a show that night.
Yeah, so the 26th, Sunday the 26th of November.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
So-
just wasn't sure.
Well, again, and part of the reason why I took both Thursday and Friday off, because obviously I was going to take Thursday off. It didn't make much sense to just come back for one day and then it's like off one day, on one day, off one day, on one
Yeah.
day. You know,
Yeah. I
the
get- I get-
Saturday is normally the day I take off. So,
Yeah,
so
I get you. I get you. I just figured I'd ask, just so the viewers know.
yeah.
For
We'll
sure.
be here and then we'll be back, of course, on December 1st. We'll be starting 1940, as I mentioned earlier. RJ Carter will be, of course, my co-host on that one. We'll be starting 40. We'll be, of course, doing a little preview of what to expect in 1940, and then we'll be getting into we'll be looking at some of the stuff that DC was coming out with that year. I believe we will get a Superman story in because I think 2 issues of Action Comics came out that month. We'll do one of them, obviously, probably the Ultra Humanite story. So but we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see we get there. So with that, so I hope to see everybody back here on Sunday. So, oh wait, before we go, Rick, did you want to do any kind of outro or anything like that?
No, I'm good.
All right.
But thanks
So
for the
that,
offer.
guys, I hope to see everybody back here on Sunday. And with that, I bid you all adieu and have a nice weekend. See you all Sunday night. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.